Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus urges the international community to save the Rohingyas from oppression of Myanmar's junta and Arakan army. Bangladesh places 7-point proposals to resolve Rohingya crisis. 11 countries including France, United Kingdom, Canada and Australia pledged to stand by Bangladesh in resolving the Rohingya crisis. Bounty from 500 taka to 5 lakh taka announced for recovery of firearms and ammunition looted during July mass uprising, says Home Advisor. Witnesses' testimony for 8th day concludes against 3 accused, including fascist Sheikh Hasina, in case of crimes against humanity. More 20 Palestinians, including 5 journalists, killed in Israeli attacks in Gaza today. Millions of people protested in Australia in support of Palestine. And Bangladesh Ansar BDP became champion in 36 national women's handball competition by defeating Bangladesh police. Assalamu alaikum. This is Shamim Khan, welcoming you all to News at 10. Those were the headlines. We now move on to the news in details. Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus said they can't afford any more to stand silent at the protracted situation of Rohingyas and urge upon the international community to undertake collective efforts to stop Myanmar junta and the Arakan army from unleashing violence against the Rohingyas. He stressed on much more effective role of the international community in this regard. The Chief Advisor said this while addressing the ongoing 3-day international conference titled Stakeholders Dialogue, Takeaways to the High-Level Conference on Rohingya Situation at a hotel in Cox's Bazar today. Professor Yunus acknowledged continued support, assistance and solidarity of the donors, partners, UN agencies, international organizations and friends across the globe to the Rohingyas sheltered in Bangladesh. The Chief Advisor placed 7-point proposals seeking collective efforts for charting a practical roadmap for speedy, safe, dignified, voluntary and sustainable return of the Rohingyas to their homes in Rakhine as soon as possible.
We don't afford anymore to stand silent at the protected situation of the Rohingyas. Hence, we urge upon the international community to undertake collective efforts to stop the Myanmar junta and the Arakan army from unleashing violence against Rohingya. Effective role of the international community is much more needed than ever before. I acknowledge the continued support, assistance and solidarity of the donors, our partners, UN agencies, international organizations, and friends across the globe to the Rohingyas sheltered in Bangladesh. We greatly value your compassion and continued partnership for the Rohingyas. Your continued support will remain pivotal and exigent until they return home. Rohingya issue and its sustainable resolution must be kept alive on the global agenda as they need our support until they return home. You may recall that last year in the United Nations General Assembly, I made a 3-point proposition to address the Rohingya crisis. In recognition of my call, the high-level conference was envisaged for this year's General Assembly. I hope that this dialogue here in Cox's Bazar will contribute substantively to the conference in New York in shaping the roadmap for an expedited and permanent solution of the Rohingya crisis. Bangladesh supports and is working relentlessly for a sustainable solution to your crisis. This dialogue is aimed at amplifying your voice in rolling out a roadmap towards early, voluntary and sustainable return to your homeland.
Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus said the nation is ready for the next general election as the country has come to a stable situation after a mass uprising mixed with the killing spree last year.
now we are ready for another transition in our political history. We have announced the time for election. It's just about a year back, we had the uprising mixed with the killing spree, and the country has come to be stable enough and ready to have the election. So we announced the election in the first half of February 2026.
High Representative for Rohingya Issue and National Security Advisor Dr. Khalilur Rahman delivered welcome address, while Disaster Management and Relief Advisor Farooq-e-Azam and Assistant High Commissioner UNHCR Raouf Mazou spoke at the event. Meanwhile, 5 sessions were held at the ongoing Stakeholders Dialogue, takeaways to the high-level conference on Rohingya situation in the afternoon. Sessions were held on humanitarian assistance for Rohingyas, accountability and justice for the atrocities committed against Rohingyas, and ways to create a sustainable and time-bound effective roadmap to resolve the Rohingya crisis. A special session with Rohingya representatives to build trust in the repatriation of Rohingyas was also held. In these sessions, diplomats from various countries, international experts, representatives from the United Nations and global organizations, and representatives of the Rohingya community participated. For the first time, leaders of various political parties, including BNP and Jamaat, participated in discussions on Rohingya issue on the same platform. The speakers discussed the reasons for and solutions to the Rohingya problem. They expressed optimism that the interim government's measures to resolve the Rohingya issue would be carried forward by the elected government. The High Representative for Rohingya Affairs and National Security Advisor Dr. Khalilur Rahman chaired the session. The session was moderated by Foreign Secretary Asad Alam Siam. In the concluding session, Dr. Khalilur Rahman presented summary of the Stakeholders Dialogue.
From this dialogue is the clear and unmistakable yearning and determination of the Rohingyas to return to Myanmar in dignity and safety and in a sustainable manner. A critical concern that has been made is the apprehended decline in funding in the coming days, which threatens the provision of very basic needs of the Rohingyas in the camps. The dialogue identified systematic persecution, discriminatory laws, particularly the 1982 citizenship law, as among the many root causes of the crisis. Discussants confirmed the gross human rights violations that continue in Rakhine State, irrespective of the shifting landscape and political dynamics. Discussants unequivocally confirmed that both the Myanmar armed forces and the Arakan army are engaged in attacks, arson, and other forms of repression against the Rohingyas. The immense pressure on Bangladesh, particularly on the host communities and the environment in Cox's Bazar and Bhasan Char, was pronounced in a robust way by both the panelists and the participants from the floor. This protracted crisis in Rakhine now poses a direct threat to the regional stability. Hence, the participants called for more proactive roles from the neighboring countries to stabilize Rakhine through concrete actions under the auspices of ASEAN, United Nations, and other concerned partners.
High Representative on Rohingya Issues and National Security Advisor Dr. Khalilur Rahman said Rohingya representatives made an emphatic and clear call for the dignified return with safety and dignity and restoration of their rights. Briefing reporters tonight after the concluding session, Dr. Rahman shed light on 6 key recommendations made during the discussion in the thematic sessions, including addressing insecurity. Foreign Secretary Asad Alam Siam Chief Advisor's Deputy Press Secretary Azad Mojumdar and Director General Public Diplomacy at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Shah Asif Rahman were present at the media briefing. Replying to a question, National Security Advisor Dr. Khalilur Rahman said, countries in the neighborhood must act in tandem to combat trans-boundary organized crimes which have been emanating from conflict-ridden Myanmar. This protracted crisis in Rakhine now poses a direct threat to the regional stability, he added. 11 Western countries reiterated their commitment to stand by Bangladesh on the 8th anniversary of mass influx of displaced Rohingyas from Myanmar's Rakhine state. Australia, Italy, the United Kingdom, Canada, Netherlands, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, France, Switzerland and Finland issued a joint statement expressing solidarity with Bangladesh. The French embassy in Dhaka published a statement on its official X handle and Facebook page. In the statement, the nations conveyed deep gratitude to Bangladesh's interim government and its people for providing life-saving humanitarian assistance, shelter and security to the displaced Rohingyas. The statement observed that the Rohingyas in Bangladesh remain willing to return to the homeland and emphasized that the international community is obliged to work towards enabling their safe, dignified and sustainable repatriation. As part of preparations for the 13th National Parliamentary Election Commission today ended its second day of hearings on demarcation objections related to constituencies in Khulna, Borishal and Chattogram regions. The hearing began at 10 a.m. in the auditorium of Election Commission building in the capital with Chief Election Commissioner A.M.M. Nasiruddin in the chair. Election commissioners and the Secretary of EC Secretariat joined the hearing. At the outset, the hearings were held on claims and objections related to Shatkhira 3-4 and Jasor 3-6 constituencies, followed by hearings on Bagirhat 1, 2 and 3 constituencies. The government has announced cash rewards ranging from 500 taka to 5 lakh taka for information leading to recovery of weapons looted from law enforcement agencies during July mass uprising. Home Affairs Advisor Lieutenant General retired Jahangir Alam Chaudhry disclosed the decision while briefing journalists after a meeting of Core Committee on Law and Order at the Secretariat. According to the reward plan, information providers will receive 50,000 taka for a pistol, 50,000 taka for a shotgun, 1 lakh taka for a Chinese rifle, 1,50,000 taka for a submachine gun, 5 lakh taka for a light machine gun LMG, and 500 taka for each round of ammunition. The Home Advisor assured that the identities of informants would remain confidential and emphasized that the reward is exclusively for information on looted government weapons. On the 8th day of testimony in the case over crimes against humanity committed during July-August movement, depositions were heard against fascist Sheikh Hasina, Asaduzaman Khan Kamal and one other accused. A 3-member judicial panel led by Justice Muhammad Ghulam Murtaza Mojumdar, chairman of International Crimes Tribunal 1, recorded the statements of 2 witnesses this morning. Earlier, in connection with Rampura shooting of a student who was hanging from a rooftop ledge, Tribunal 1 ordered the publication of notices in newspapers directing fugitive former DMP Commissioner Habibur Rahman Habib and 3 others to appear before the court. Additionally, the tribunal instructed that Sachin Malik, arrested in the Farmgate triple murder case during July movement, be produced in the court on Thursday. Briefing journalist prosecutor Muhammad Mizanul Islam said the witness gave detailed accounts of the incidents in court and demanded justice against those responsible, naming Sheikh Hasina, Asaduzaman Khan Kamal, Obaidul Qadir, local MP of Gulshan Badda Wakiluddin, 2 councillors, former IGP Chaudhry Abdullah Al Mamoon, along with all police officers involved in the killings. Chief Justice Syed Rifat Ahmed said the judiciary must be kept free from any kind of interference to work independently. He said this at a seminar titled National Conference on Alternative Dispute Resolution, Effective Role of District Legal Aid Committees in Implementing New Laws, held in Dhaka today. In the chairperson's speech at the seminar, law advisor Dr. Asif Nazrul stated that legal aid offices will be established in every district within the next 6 months. Among others, Housing and Public Works Advisor Adil Rahman Khan, Attorney General Mohammad Asaduzzaman, Law and Justice Division Secretary Sheikh Abu Tahir, European Union Ambassador to Bangladesh Michael Miller, and Director of Legal Aid Syed Azad Subhani also spoke. The Chief Justice said if any defendant is unable to appoint a lawyer due to circumstances, then a lawyer must be appointed through legal aid. Civil Aviation and Tourism Advisor Sheikh Bashiruddin said the government has undertaken a set of firm measures to contain abnormal rise in airfares and stamp out fraudulent practices in the ticketing sector. He said this at a press briefing at Commerce Ministry's conference room this afternoon. He alleged that some unscrupulous businesses had been creating artificial shortages to extract higher fares from passengers. The advisor said whoever is involved in the airfare syndicate will face strict action. Sheikh Bashiruddin advised passengers to purchase tickets only from licensed agencies where the selling price is clearly printed. He urged journalists to play a responsible role in raising public awareness and supporting the government's initiatives. Now, international news.